So today we will deal about dengue. Dengue is a mosquito-borne viral infection and causes flu-like illness and occasionally develops into a potentially lethal complication called severe dengue. The global incidence has grown dramatically in recent decades. About half of the world's population is now at risk. Dengue is found in tropical and subtropical climates worldwide, mostly in urban and semi-urban areas. Now, regarding burden of disease, World Health Organization estimates that 3.9 billion people are at risk for dengue infection. A recent estimate indicates that 390 million infections per year, of which about 96 million manifest clinically with any severity of disease. About 5 lakh people with dengue hemorrhagic fever require hospitalization each year, and out of which approximately 90% are children aged less than 5 years, and about 2.5% of those die. Now virus profile. Dengue virus belong to genus Flavivirus and family Flaviviridae. It is single-stranded RNA virus. It is 4 serotype, DEN 1 to DEN 4. All the 4 serotypes, that means dengue 1, 2, 3 and 4, have been isolated in India, but at present DEN V1 and DEN V2 serotypes are widespread. The virus is easily destroyed by heat and chemicals, but it survives for several years at minus 70 degree centigrade. Now comes to the vector profile. Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus are the vectors of dengue hemorrhagic fever. It is a small black mosquito with white stripes and is approximately of 5 mm in size. In recent decades, Aedes albopictus has spread from Asia to Africa, Americas and Europe, notably aided by the international trades in use trier in which eggs are deposited when they contain rainwater. Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus both carry high vectorial competency for dengue virus. That means they are having high susceptibility to get infected with virus and having ability to replicate the virus and ability to transmit the virus to another host. Aedes aegypti basically predominantly it is a urban vector. It has narrow global distribution and it prefers human, and it is also known as yellow fever mosquito. Whereas Aedes albopictus, it predominantly found in peri-urban and rural areas. It is having wider global distribution. It affects humans and variety of vertebrates, and it is also known as forest mosquito and Asian tiger mosquito. Aedes aegypti is a highly domesticated, strongly anthropophilic nervous feeder. That means it bites more than one host to complete one blood meal, and it is discordant species. That means it needs more than one feed for the completion of the gonotropic cycle. This habit results in the generation of multiple cases and the clustering of dengue cases in the cities. Whereas Aedes albopictus partly invades peripheral areas of urban cities, and it is an aggressive feeder and concordant species. That means it can complete its blood meal in one go on one person, and it also does not require a second blood meal for the completion of gonotropic cycle. Now, the expansion of dengue in India has been related to unplanned urbanization, changes in environmental factor, host pathogen interaction, and population immunological factors. Regarding the some habits of vector, feeding habit, it is mosquito is day biter. Resting habit, it rests in the dark corner of the houses on hanging objects like clothes, umbrella, etc., or under the furniture. Breeding habits, it breeds in any type of artificial or man-made containers or storage containers having even a small quantity of water. Just 2 ml water is sufficient. Survival, adult survives best between 16 to 30 degrees centigrade, and a relative humidity of 60 to 80% favors its survival. Eggs of Aedes can survive without water for more than 1 year. Now, regarding transmission of virus, the Aedes mosquito becomes infected by feeding on a patient from the day before onset of illness to the 5th day of illness, that is of viremia stage. After an extrinsic incubation period of 8 to 10 days, the mosquito becomes infectious and is able to transmit the infection to another host. Once the mosquito becomes infective, it remains so for life, and also the genital tract of the mosquito gets infected. The transovarian transmission of dengue virus occurs when virus enters fully developed egg at the time of oviposition. Period of communicability: infected person with dengue becomes infective to mosquitoes 6 to 12 hours before the onset of disease and remains so up to 3 to 5 days. All age groups and both sexes are affected. Deaths are more common in children during dengue hemorrhagic fever outbreak. Young children in particular may be less able than adults to compensate for capillary leakage and are consequently at greater risk of dengue shock and mortality. Incubation period 4 to 10 days. Primary infection induces lifelong immunity to the infecting serotype. Protection from different serotype within 2 to 3 months of primary infection, and no long-term cross-protective immunity is there. Now, regarding severity of disease, subsequent infection with different dengue serotypes, mostly by type 2 in India, or multiple infection with different serotypes leads to severe form of dengue, that is dengue hemorrhagic fever or dengue shock syndrome. The first infection probably sensitized the patient, while the second infection with different serotype appears to produce immunological catastrophe. It is postulated that virus antibodies are formed within a few days of second dengue infection, and that in non-neutralizing enhancing antibodies promote infection of higher numbers of mononuclear cells, followed by release of cytokines, vasoactive mediators, and procoagulant, leading to disseminated intravascular coagulation seen in hemorrhagic fever syndrome. Now, there are different diagnostic methods. Diagnosis based only on clinical symptom is unreliable. Only early laboratory confirmation may be valuable. Hematological tests include platelet count, hematocrit count. Serological tests include ELISA, hemagglutinin inhibition test, and nucleic acid detection include PCR and RT-PCR. Government of India recommends use of ELISA based antigen detection test, that is NS1, for diagnosing the cases from first day onwards. NS1 ELISA detection of non-structural protein, that is NS1 antigen, in the serum is an useful tool for the diagnosis of acute dengue infections. This is confirmatory. This is commercially available. Now, dengue virus infection may be asymptomatic or may cause undifferentiated febrile illness, that is called viral syndrome. Dengue fever, dengue hemorrhagic fever, that also include dengue shock syndrome. Dengue shock syndrome is actually a severe form of dengue hemorrhagic fever. Now, asymptomatic infection, majority of all dengue infected individual are asymptomatic, that is they have no clinical sign or symptom of disease. Undifferentiated fever, the first clinical course is a relatively benign scenario where the patient experiences fever with mild non-specific symptom that can mimic any number of other acute febrile illnesses. These patients are typically young children and those experiencing their first infection, and they recover fully without need for hospital care. Dengue fever and dengue fever with or without hemorrhages, the second clinical presentation occur when a patient develops dengue fever with or without hemorrhages. These patients are typically older children or adult. Now, clinical case definition for dengue fever. Classical dengue fever or break-bone fever is an acute febrile viral disease frequently presented with abrupt onset of high-grade fever. High-grade fever more than 103 degree Fahrenheit figure is classified as high-grade fever. Severe frontal headache, pain behind the eye which worsen with eye movements, muscle and joint pain, loss of sense and taste and appetite, and measles-like rash over uh, chest and upper limb, nausea and vomiting. Classical case definition for dengue: hemorrhagic fever. Uh, 4 necessary criteria should be fulfilled. First, fever or recent history of acute fever, hemorrhagic manifestation, which is shown in next slide, low platelet count, that is less than 1 lakh per cubic millimeter, objective evidence of leaky capillaries, that is manifested by elevated hematocrit, that is 20% or more, low albumin, pleural or other effusion. Hematocrit also known as packed cell volume or erythrocyte volume fraction, and it is the volume percentage of RBC in blood. It is normally 45% for male and 40% for female. So manifestation for leaky capillaries, elevated hematocrit, that is 20% or more. Now hemorrhagic manifestations include skin hemorrhages, may be in the form of petachy, purpura or ecchymosis. Term petachy refers to the smaller lesion. Purpura and ecchymosis are terms that refers to larger lesion. In certain situations, purpura may be palpable. In all situations, petachy, ecchymosis and purpura do not blanch when pressed. Purpura measures 5 to 9 mm, whereas petachy measures less than 5 mm and ecchymosis is greater than 1 cm. There may be gingival bleeding, nasal bleeding, gastrointestinal bleeding in the form of hematemesis, melena and hematophagia. Hematemesis, it is a vomiting of blood which may be obviously red or have an appearance similar to coffee grounds. Melena is the passage of black tarry stool. Hematophagia is the passage of fresh blood per annus, usually in or with stool. There may be hematuria or increased menstrual flow. Now comes to the clinical case definition for dengue shock syndrome. There are 4 criteria for dengue hemorrhagic fever plus evidence of circulatory failure manifested indirectly by rapid and weak pulse, narrow pulse pressure, that is less than or equal to 2 mmHg, cold, clammy skins and altered mental status. Frank shock is direct evidence of circulatory failure. Now there are 4 graded for dengue hemorrhagic fever, grade 1, 2, 3 and 4. In grade 1, there is fever, non-specific constitutional symptoms, positive tourniquet test or is the only hemorrhagic manifestation. In grade 2, grade 1 manifestation plus spontaneous bleeding is there. Grade 3, sign of circulatory failure is there, that is rapid weak pulse, narrow pulse pressure, hypotension, cold clammy skin. Grade 4 include profound shock with undetectable pulse and BP. Now there are some danger signs in dengue hemorrhagic fever. These signs are abdominal pain, that is intense and sustained, persistent vomiting, abrupt change from fever to hypothermia with sweating and prostration, restlessness or somnolence, and all of These are sign of impending shock and should alert clinician that the patient need close observation and fluid. There are different phases of dengue hemorrhagic fever, that is febrile phase, critical phase and recovery phase. Now febrile phase, it is sudden onset of high grade fever and it lasts for 2 to 7 days. This phase include clinical features are indistinguishable between the severe and non-severe dengue cases. Therefore, monitoring of warning sign and other clinical parameters is crucial to recognizing progression to the critical phase early in the course of illness. Patient with dengue hemorrhagic fever can present much like dengue fever, but there may also have hepatomegaly without jaundice that may be present in later phase of febrile condition. Febrile phase include facial flushing, skin erythema, generalized body ache, myalgia and arthralgia, headache, sore throat, injected pharynx and conjunctival injection, and anorexia, nausea and vomiting. Positive tourniquet test increases the probability of dengue. And there may be some hemorrhagic manifestations are there, and enlarged and tender liver may be there. Bleeding may occur in this phase, but they are not common, only present with positive tourniquet test. CBC picture should alert the physician to a high probability of dengue. And earliest abnormality is progressive decrease in total WBC count. Positive tourniquet test. What is positive tourniquet test? Inflate the blood pressure cuff to point midway between systolic and diastolic pressure for 5 minutes. Positive test means 20 or more petechiae per square inch area. Now critical phase, in this temperature drops to the 37.5 to 38 degrees centigrade. Its duration is 3 to 7 days. There is increase in capillary permeability with increasing hematocrit level. Significant plasma leakage lasts for 24 to 48 hours. Progressive leukopenia followed by rapid decrease in platelet precedes plasma leakage. If there is decrease in critical capillary permeability, that means condition is improving. If there is increase in capillary permeability, it may result in pleural effusion and ascites. Degree of increase above the baseline hematocrit reflects the severity of plasma leakage. Shock, critical volume of plasma is lost and temperature may be subnormal. Prolonged shock lead to organ hypoperfusion, that leads to organ impairment, metabolic acidosis and disseminated intravascular coagulation that leads to severe hemorrhages. Now recovery phase, gradual reabsorption of extravascular compartment fluid, that duration is 48 to 72 hours. General well-being improves, appetite returns, GI symptom abate, hemodynamic status stabilize and diuresis ensures. If rashes are present and skin become gradually normal, it appears like icicles of white in the sea of red. Appearance of characteristic convulsant rash of dengue in this phase occurs, that is known as icicles of white in the sea of red. At this point, care must be taken to recognize signs indicating that the intravascular volume has stabilized, that is plasma leakage has halted and that reabsorption has begun. That picture shows isolates of white in the sea of red. Now comes to the recovery phase. Hematocrit stabilizes or may be lowered due to dilution effect of reabsorbed fluid. WBC start to rise. Recovery of platelet count occurs later. This picture shows the course of dengue illness During critical phase, during febrile phase, dehydration increases, hematocrit level decreases, platelet count decreases, and in this is a stage of viremia. In critical case, temperature lower down, shock, bleeding there may be there, hematocrit level decreases, platelet count decreases, hematocrit level further increases, and antibodies are start to form. Now, prevention and control. Dengue prevention and control depends on the effective vector control measure. There is no specific treatment for severe dengue, but early detection and access to proper medical care lowers the fatality rate below 1%. Now, clinical management. What is the approach to the management of dengue cases? There may be disease notification should be there. In dengue endemic countries, cases of suspected, probable and confirmed dengue should be notified. Public health measures should be taken. Suspected cases are whoever who lives in or has traveled to a dengue endemic area, who are having fever for 3 days or more, low or decreasing white cell counts, and there is thrombocytopenia, or there may be positive tourniquet test present or absent. Now, management decision. There are 3 categories, 3 groups, group A, B and group C. Group A include patient who tolerate adequate volumes of oral fluid and pass urine at least once in every 6 hours, and there is no warning signs, and these type of patient may be sent to home. Group B patient include with patient who present with warning sign, coexisting conditions with certain social circumstances, referred. These type of patient should be referred for in-hospital management. Group C patient includes severe dengue that are in critical phases. These patients require emergency treatment and urgent referral. Now, group A action plan. Encourage intake of ORS, fruit juice and other fluids, paracetamol and tepid sponge for fever. Advised to come back if there is no clinical improvement. They are present with abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, cold and clammy extremities, irritability or restlessness, bleeding and passing urine for more than 4 to 6 hours. Monitor these type of patient. There should be monitoring of temperature pattern, volume of fluid intake and losses, urine output, warning signs of plasma leakage and bleeding, hematocrit and white blood cells and platelet count. Now, group B action plan. Group B action plan. They should initiate IV therapy 6 ml per kg per hour crystalloid for 1 to 2 hours. Basically, in group B and group C, there is use of volume expander. As you know, volume expander are of 2 types, crystalloid and colloid. Crystalloid are aqueous solution of mineral salt or other water soluble molecule, and colloid contain large insoluble molecules such as gelatin. Blood itself is a colloid. The most commonly used crystalloid fluid is normal saline, a solution of sodium chloride at 0.9% concentration, which is close to the concentration in the blood, that is isotonic to the blood. Ringer's lactate and Ringer's acetate is another isotonic solution often used for large volume fluid replacement. And colloids, they preserve a high colloid osmotic pressure in the blood, while on the other hand this parameter is decreased by crystalloid due to hemodilution. Another difference is the crystalloid generally are much cheaper than the colloid. Common colloid used in the medical context include the albumin and fresh frozen plasma. So, if there should initiate IV therapy 6 ml per kg per hour crystalloid for 1 to 2 hours. Then check hematocrit level. If there is improvement, then IV fluid reduce for 3 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours. And if there is further improvement, then discontinue IV fluid, and patient should initiate oral fluid intake. If improvement is not there, then check hematocrit level. There is no improvement, then if hematocrit level rises, then increases IV fluid for 6 ml to 10 ml per kg per hour. If hematocrit level falls and condition is not improving, then suspect internal hemorrhages. There should be blood transfusion 10 ml per kg or 5 ml per kg. Packed RBC should be transfused. If there is improvement, the patient should be shifted to the IV crystalloid and successively reducing the flow from 10 to 6 to 3 and discontinue after 24 to 48 hours. Now group C action plan. In this condition, also initiate IV therapy 10 to but here dose is higher, 10 to 20 ml per kg per hour crystalloid for 1 hour. That is intense infusion there. If there is improvement in vital statistics and hematocrit, then start IV crystalloid successively, reducing the flow from 10 to 6 to then 3 ml per kg per hour, 3 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours. If there is further improvement, then improve the IV therapy for after 24 to 48 hours. If there is no improvement in vital statistics and hematocrit level, then check the hematocrit level. If hematocrit level rises, then the patient should be shifted to IV colloid 10 ml per kg per hour. Then further check the condition. If there is no improvement, there should be blood transfusion or packed RBC transfusion. If hematocrit level falls, then suspect internal hemorrhages, then patient should be shifted for blood transfusion or packed cell RBC volume transfusion. If there is improvement, then the therapy should be shifted to crystalloid, IV crystalloid, and successively decrease the dose. In group C action plan, admit to a hospital with access to intensive care facility and blood transfusion. Plasma losses should be replaced immediately or rapidly with isotonic crystalloid solution, or in case of hypotensive shock, a colloid solution. Blood transfusion with suspected or severe bleeding is there. If judicious intravenous fluid resuscitation is important, it is sole intervention required in group C action plan. Goals of fluid resuscitation is always give minimum IV fluid to maintain good perfusion and urine output of about 0.5 ml per kg per hour. If there is improving central and peripheral circulation, then that means decreasing tachycardia, improving BP, warm and pink extremities, and capillary refill time is less than 2 seconds. Improving end organ perfusion, that means stable conscious level, more alert and less restless, urine output more than or equal to 0.5 ml per kg per hour, and decreasing metabolic acidosis. Now regarding immunization, that is dengue vaxia, CYD TDV. The first dengue vaccine, dengue vaxia, developed by Sanofi Pasteur, was licensed in December 2015. It is a prophylactic tetravalent live attenuated viral vaccine. In April 2016, WHO issued a conditional recommendation on the use of vaccine for endemic area. Endemic area means there is seroconversion of more than 70%, and it is it should be given in the persons of 9 to 45 years of age with a history of prior dengue virus infection. In 2017, the manufacturer recommended that the vaccine only be used in people who have previously had a dengue infection, or otherwise there was evidence it may worsen subsequent infection. The Government of India announces the Union Health Ministry has rejected Sanofi's request to waive off phase 3 clinical trial and did not grant permission for making in India. The vaccine is available in single dose vial or in multiple dose vial. It contains no adjuvant or preservative. It is a freeze dried product which needs reconstitution before injection. Diluent for single dose vial is 0.4% sodium chloride and multi dose vial is 0.9% sodium chloride. Dose is 0.5 ml. Route is subcutaneous. Site upper arm in the region of deltoid. Schedule is 3 injections are given at the 6-month interval, that is 0, 6 and 12. Shelf life is 36 months when stored at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. After reconstitution, the vaccine must be kept at between 2 and 8 degrees centigrade and should be protected from light. Reconstituted vaccine should be used immediately or within 6 hours. Immediately in case of single dose and within 6 hours in case of multiple dose vial. So these are picture of dengue vaccine. What is contraindication? History of severe allergic reaction to any component of the dengue vaccine. Individual with congenital or acquired immune deficiency. Individual with symptomatic or asymptomatic HIV infection. Pregnant and lactating women. Vaccine should be postponed in individuals with moderate to severe febrile or acute disease. Now, what are recent updates? India is also developing an indigenous tetravalent dengue subunit vaccine DSV4. DSV4 process development and scale up work are currently in progress. 2 new live attenuated dengue vaccine are currently in phase 3 efficacy trial, and Indian companies have licensed a live attenuated experimental vaccine from the USA. Now comes to the vector control measures. Vector control measures include personal prophylactic measures, that is use of mosquito repellent cream, liquid coils, mat, wearing of full sleeve shirt, full pants with socks, use of bed nets for sleeping infants and young children during daytime to prevent mosquito bite. Second, biological control, use of larvivorous fish. Chemical control, use of chemical larvicide like abate in big breeding container. Environmental management and source reduction method should be used. Detection and elimination of mosquito breeding sources, management of the rooftop porticos and sunshades, proper covering of stored water. Health education should be given using the media like TV, radio, cinema, slides, etc. And community participation should be there, sensitizing and involving the community for detection of Aedes breeding places and their elimination. There are some commonly used indices for Aedes aegypti and albopictus infestation level. House index या premise index, that is percentage of houses infested with larva and or pupa. So formula is house index is equal to infested house divided by house inspected multiplied by 100. So as container index, that is percentage of water holding container infested with larvae or pupa. Bretio index, number of positive containers per 100 house inspected. So thank you.